Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Michelle Briggs. I'm with Strata, Texas. We are Briggs and Mortar Facebook Live, and today we have Edward Garza. Edward and I go back many years, and I'm excited about him being a part of Tips Tuesday because he is with NCCB. He's a credit specialist, National Credit Council Bureau. Right, Ed?
That's correct.
I love it. So tell us a little bit about you.
Well, my background has always been in the field of outreach and marketing. My first career was I was raised in Bel Air, Texas. I went to school in Ohio and to seminary, actually, and became a minister for many years. That was sort of my first career. Then I went to Kent State University, graduated from Kent State. I was a professor there for a couple of years, taught more technology stuff, and found myself in the field of marketing and outreach. Worked for a radio station there, and I fell in love with it. So I just decided to stick in that field. So I was in that field for a while. I've had the privilege of living all across the United States as a minister, from Albuquerque, New Mexico, to Las Vegas, Nevada, to deep parts of Ohio, now Dallas, Texas. So, so I am, but Texas is my roots. That's where I'm born and raised, and I love Texas. So.
Right. Well, I know that.
By the way, I also love writing music. So that's a little bit about myself. Yeah. So.
Yes, you do. So I know that you're in Dallas and I'm in Houston. With the company that you're with, it doesn't matter if you're in Dallas and my clients are here in Houston, or whomever is watching, wherever you are. In fact, am I correct to say that you are a nationwide company?
That's correct.
So I have people on my Facebook page that are from California, that are Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, from New Jersey, from everywhere. So I just want to point out, if you're watching with us today and that you do have concerns around your credit, you can still get a hold of Ed. He can still assist you on your path, right?
That's correct.
Right. Well, I think that's a great, segue going into my really first point that I wanted to share with everyone today is there truly is a difference when you're looking at a credit repair company. And unfortunately, there are many credit repair companies out there that do not have a really great reputation. And fees up front, and it's the lack of communication. And why I wanted to highlight you, Edward, is because that's not who you are. You are a credit restoration company and you are a credit specialist, but what makes you different? And share with them what makes you different from the credit repair.
Right, absolutely. Now, obviously, there's some credit repair companies that do phenomenal work. What makes us a lot different is our mix of personal and automation is a little bit different. So, automation, sending letters and dispute letters sometimes can cause a problem if for the credit repair company and a customer, because it may just happen to you where the statute of limitations is renewed. It may disappear from your credit over a period of 90 days and then go back on, and then the statute of limitations re-kick and it drops your score even more. So we're a little bit different. We'd add a lot of personalization. So we're also registered with the state of Texas. So what that means is our feet get held to the fire. If someone does not perform on credit repair, it's very hard sometimes, especially if you didn't sign an agreement to get your money back. So I've personally been robbed before, $2,000. I have friends that have lost $7,000 from people that promise to fix your credit or add lines of credit or do magic for you, and they never get it done. They just steal it from you. They disappear. You never want to do that. You always want to find a reputable company, do your due diligence, and make sure everything is free up front. Everything up for us is free up front. There's no charge, just to evaluate your situation, see where you're at, and put you on a plan to where you want to go.
Right. Now, when you talk about due diligence, is there a place where someone could go to find a company that's reputable? That is there something in the state of Texas, or how would they find you if they were to Google looking for someone that has the credibility like you do?
Well, there's a couple of flags that possibly that you want to look out for. Obviously, charging up front should throw up a red flag, in your mind. You should never pay up front for at least the counseling or the education. Um, that's one thing. The other thing is an agreement, some type of agreement that states they should never look at your credit without you signing an agreement and you signing it back digitally or physically, doesn't matter. So if those things don't happen, if you don't have an agreement, you should never pay before an agreement. You should never pay before they promise anything, especially not just their word. So those are just two red flags you could check. There's no real regulation when it comes to someone saying they're a credit, repair specialist, right? I mean, the only thing we have for us, we're registered with the state of Texas. The FTC knows who we are. The Secretary of State knows who we are. We're not concerned about that. If we don't perform, call them. We'll give you your money back.
Right. And that's like,
they know who we are.
yeah.
So that's kind of where, and we have to stick to our standards in order to maintain that registration with the state. So those are some of the things that you could look out for, and make sure, especially there's no complaints with the state, as well. You want to, you could call your attorney general's office. They know who we are. You could just ask them, hey, have you heard of this company? Do you know if they're credible? Right. And they could tell you, openly. So there's a lot of things you can do, but you definitely don't want to pay up front. You definitely don't want to take action and without an agreement in place. Okay. So a privacy policy, power of attorney, all those things are important.
Right. Well, you had mentioned about being registered with the state and having to follow those guidelines. So anyone can be a credit repair person? I mean, could I tomorrow be a credit repair person?
Yes, absolutely. You can. Yep. Anybody. They could just start it and say that you do it and make promises and collect money. Absolutely. That's just crazy, right? It's not something that is, you don't have to, like an insurance agent, you don't have to go through a process, or like a real estate agent, you don't have to go through a process, right? So,
yeah, we have to take a lot of classes and we have to pass a big test, right? To get ours. And then continuing education like crazy, constantly.
I think things will be changing. Obviously, I think so as years go on. Credit repair is a very sensitive topic, right? Your credit is your personal credit, and I like to phrase it like this. If you've ever been in an accident and you damage your car, think of that like your credit's maybe damaged. Mm-hmm. The good news is you could fix your car like it's new, right?
Right.
It makes it look brand new. Well, your credit's the same way, right? You just got to be patient, and you got to have the right person to help you.
Right, because it's a process. Like I said, you're sharing that free consultation. That's a part of it. You're giving a plan of action or providing a recommendation of a plan of action inside of that consultation, correct?
That's correct. So, say someone's thinking about buying a home from Michelle, right? And she'd be your preferred realtor in Texas, especially in Houston. Okay. So, you got to prepare for that, right? There's a lot of processes that are involved. So the first process I would recommend, I think she would too, is just kind of see where your credit's at. And that's where we could help you. There's no cost at all. You just come in, give me a phone call, come into our office if you're close by.
Do
a Zoom call, and we'll help you evaluate your credit, maybe give you some suggestions, no cost, things that you could possibly do to help improve your credit situation. And maybe if there's some bigger problems that you need help with, and that's where we come in and helping you, maybe offering you some solutions if it fits for you and it fits for your plan.
Right. Well, I think with interest rates, I mean, the market in Houston is hot, hot, hot. We hear hot, hot, hot. It's hot.
Yeah, I've been hearing
it is, right? And, currently, there's not enough homes on the market. It is a seller's market. Interest rates are crazy low. I mean, to me, it's like free money. So I think there are so many people out there that are really their first time home buyers and they have concerns. That's one of the largest things that, or one of the biggest things that I hear are concerns around credit. Now, as a realtor, we don't get in the financial side of things or the finances of it. However, if I have a client that tells me they feel that their credit score is 600, 620, I want them to have a conversation with you, right? Because, if when you have a higher credit score, you get a better interest rate,
That's right.
right?
1 point could save you thousands of dollars. If you had a 700 plus score, it's a big difference, Um,
Right.
I mean, FHA, you could get, with a 600 credit score, you can get a home, but it's going to require a lot of money down and your interest rate's going to be a little bit higher. The competitive interest rates right now are, incredible. So,
Mhm.
especially if you have a higher score. So that's where um, things could be a lot better for you if you at least do some preparation up front. There's no cost, there's no obligation, there's no pressure. It's just education up front and give you a couple of paths you can go on. And that's where we recommend helping people. So,
Right. Well, if you are just joining us, my name is Michelle Briggs. I'm with Strata, Texas. We are here and having a conversation with Edward Garza with NCCB. I want to make sure I have that correct. National Credit Council Bureau. I love it. So we talked about the difference between his company and a credit repair because Edward is a credit restoration. And there's really things that you want to look at. And he gave us some red flags when you're having a conversation with a credit repair company. There's a couple things that he pointed out on what you really need to look at to make sure it is a reputable company because there are companies out there that will take your money and not do anything, right? And then he shared with us they are registered with the state of Texas. You can call the Attorney General's office and ask about your company.
Secretary of State, yeah, they know who we are. We're the go-to people, So
Right. And I mean, so there's something that is to be said around that. And we talked about really, getting prepared for purchasing a home. If you're a first time home buyer and you have concerns about your credit, we just spoke a little bit about that. If you're currently in a home and you have a higher interest rate than what's out on the market right now or what's available on the market and you have concerns around credit, because there are individuals that buy a home and they go, well, I don't have to worry about it. I have a house now. I can do whatever I want to do. And it still impacts with refinances, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Same thing. So
A lot
you
of people are looking to refinance their home too, and and that's where we could help them too.
Yeah. So one other thing that you shared with me as we were prepping for our live today was talking about debt management. So, and maybe that's where we kind of speak to people that want to refinance their home. Maybe it's a debt management program for them to get into to get that debt down, to refinance to get a lower interest rate that's going to save them thousands over the life of the loan. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our debt management is all about, again, starts with the free consultation. Let's look at your credit. Um, everything up free, agreements, all that stuff should still be in place, right? Um, those the same policies should be in place, privacy policy, everything else. But once we look at it, we could advise you on which direction you should go. You can tell us exactly what your problem is, whether you have a lot of credit card debt or maybe you're on the brink of foreclosure and you need some help. That's where we could step in and advise you. Maybe you're thinking about bankruptcy. A lot of people right now during this time frame or they're thinking about it. Before you take that action, at least contact us and see what we could do to help you before you take an action like that.
Yeah.
So whatever situation you're in, if debt is burdening you down and you need some help and you want some relief, that's where we could come in. Whether we can negotiate a better payoff for you and help you eliminate some of that debt, that's where we could put a plan in action for you. And there's no cost to at least talk about it.
Right.
And we'll be there for you. That's real simple.
I love that. Well, I think as we've said, I don't know how many times in our live today, that it is a free consultation.
Correct.
And I didn't even think about bankruptcy before we started this conversation. And Edward, that is such a good point. I had a dear friend many, many years ago that, I mean, she was a very dear friend, and I had no idea that of her financial struggles. I just didn't know. And I'm a budget girl, right? So
Right.
I've been pretty successful in my life around budgeting and not in getting myself too much trouble with credit cards. And I learned young the hard way. And when she told me that she went into bankruptcy or she filed for bankruptcy, I was, I was so sad for her
Yeah.
because, I just like, why, I wonder why she didn't feel comfortable enough to sit down and go, hey, you're really good at this stuff. Can you help me and see? Now, I'm not a credit restoration person, and I probably would have, but this was like 15 years ago. I didn't know you then, but I would at least done something, have a conversation with someone like you, have a conversation with Ed before you file bankruptcy, because that bankruptcy stays on your credit for these many years. It impacts purchasing a home for these many years. I mean, it impacts everything
Absolutely does.
because it goes on your credit report. So thank you for pointing that out, because anyone that's watching, if you're watching on the replay, if you are even thinking about it, please reach out to Ed. In fact, below, just put in #credit, and we will make sure that Ed gets your information. Ed gets a hold of you to have that conversation. It is purely private. It is not public. We're not going to post anywhere that you guys are having conversations. You can private message me or direct message me in Facebook Messenger if you're more comfortable with that. But #credit is a great way to be able to have Ed reach out to you to have this conversation, right?
That's correct.
Oh, I didn't even think about that, Ed. Sorry, it totally changed my mood there because I was so
Yeah.
sad for her. I
People's
was
lives.
so sad for her. And
Yeah.
it's because there's a way out.
Yes.
It's not overnight. It takes discipline, it takes commitment, and it's possible.
That's right.
It's possible. All right, you guys. Well, we are getting down to the end. I could talk to you forever. So, being that it is Tips Tuesday, Briggs and Mortar Heights Facebook Live, what is our tip for today, Edward?
So you can go to annual credit report. If you haven't looked at your credit in a while, just go to annual credit report. Just Google it, annual credit report. You can pull your credit for free. Take a look at it yourself. You see something on there that you're just tired of, or your credit score is not where you want it to be, #credit. Just reach out to me, and we can start the process, So I do want to say that, it's the aspect of checking your credit impacts your entire life.
It does.
Better job, better costs on your insurance rates, your homeowner's insurance. If you buy a new home, if you have better credit, guess what? A lot of other things go smoothly, right? Like, alarm systems you put in your home. Life just changes, and
Yeah.
so don't worry about it. If you have blemishes on your credit, we can remove anything with our experts. And by the way, it's not just me, Michelle. I mean, we have 20, 30 people on staff and contract that help us: legal staff, economists, credit specialists, credit counselors, bankers. We have a lot of people on staff. So believe me, I couldn't do all this myself without a team.
Oh, well, especially nationwide. I think you're amazing, but I don't know if you can manage a whole nationwide. That's a lot of calls to take in one day, Edward.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Michelle Briggs. I always ask you to follow me on Instagram, like my Facebook page. Pretty much all of my social media is RELTR, the number 4, the letter U, because I am the realtor for you. You guys have a great day. Thank you, Ed.